Welcome once again to the Masked Fan Attic, my creepy friends and friendly creeps. Thanks for coming once again. Thanks for putting up with me week after week just for the sake of hearing some interesting backstory about cool old Halloween masks. Now tonight's cool old Halloween mask has a really interesting backstory, and by interesting I mean wordy. Tonight's mask, none other than a little number called El Diablo originally, which is just Spanish for devil, by the way. El Diablo, sculpted by the amazing John Fuller and first released in 2000 by Death Studios. And as you can see, it's a pretty deluxe mask. It's got some hair, nice hair in the back and on top, and a very, very nice, very detailed paint job. Nice black horns, nice shiny bloodshot eyes. And well, it's a cool mask any way you look at it. But the thing that makes it especially noteworthy to collectors out there is that this mask was used in a movie in 2004 called Satan's Little Helper. Now, again, the mask had already been around for a while when the movie was made. So, as is often the case in a lot of slasher movies, they didn't have a mask specially made for the film. Just like it happened with Scream, and before that, John Carpenter's original Halloween, they bought a pre-existing latex mask for the culprit in their movie, Satan's Little Helper. Now, Satan's Little Helper was directed by Jeff Lieberman in 2004. Same guy who had already directed some pretty interesting horror movies earlier, including Squirm, a movie about the worms, remember that, from 1976, and Just Before Dawn, which came out in 1981. Both of which, kind of good, kind of decent movies. And this one too. Now, this one is very silly. If you haven't seen Satan's Little Helper, I gotta warn you, it's really campy. It's not really so much scary as it is goofy, but I kind of liked it. It goes to pieces at the end and it runs out of ideas after a while, but really most of the time it's fun to watch. Most of the time it's a cool movie, so you should probably see it, I think. And the mask was was later reissued. It was discontinued after a while by Death Studios and eventually came to be reissued by Darkside Studios, and I think they just went ahead and called it Satan's Little Helper, I think. Not absolutely sure about that. Might still be called El Diablo at Darkside. I'm not sure. Might be called both. But the Darkside Studio version and the Death Studio version are almost identical. If I could hold one in each hand and look at them, you know, side by side, face to face, I think I could probably tell you which one was the Death Studios and which one was the Darkside, but really they're very, very close. Other than looking at them, really examining them closely, it would be hard to ascertain any great differences in them because they're pretty much the same. Now, the story goes that the mold that was used to make the masks used in the movie was actually accidentally broken, and people thought, well, that was the end of the mask. But copy molds already existed because the mask had been in production for several years from Death Studio. So there you go. So I say look for one of these, whether it's the Death Studio or the Darkside version. They're both awesome. It might be called Satan's Little Helper or it might be called El Diablo, but in either case, it's a fun mask with a nice sense of sort of Halloween mischievousness about it. It doesn't look like just a, you know, cliche red devil. It's sort of a cartoony demon guy, and I like it, so that's why I think you should like it too. It's because I like it, so you like it too, don't you? Sure you do. All right. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week in the attic, unless El Diablo gets to you first.